Hello, this is episode 3 of the Stronghold podcast. I'm here with my boy, Steven Langdown, former one championship fighter, and my oldest fighter and friend here in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me on today.
You're welcome. So we're here with a couple. Can the camera see this? This is what happens if you hang out with Steven. Okay, one was not enough. We have to double fist. I appreciate your enthusiasm.
I try.
So what's going on, man? How you been?
I've been well, thank you. I've been busy at work, at the gym, just doing what I do. Still looking for an in back into fighting.
Oh God.
Haven't found one yet.
So Steven, I'll just set you up a little bit here. Mm-hmm. Steven was the first guy that I coached when I moved to Singapore that was a professional fighter.
That is correct, yes.
I met you, how old are you, 20?
I was 20 years old, yeah.
Okay, so you were 20. At that point, you'd already had one fight.
Yep.
And one championship, right?
Yep.
So I started coaching you for the second one.
My second fight.
The Raymond Tan fight.
No, my third. That's my third.
Who was your second fight?
Casey Swire.
Oh, right, yes.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Yeah. So you had 2 fights before I met you, and then you had 2 fights since where I was coaching for you.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so dude, tell the story, right? So just to give everybody a little background, right? I'll give you a little background, and then you set it drive it home, okay? So when I met Steven, he was 20, 22?
I was 20, 21 at the time we met, yeah.
And when I met you, you were already signed to one.
Yep,
and you basically were in the early phases of one. You'd gotten signed.
Yeah, I got in well before the game kicked off.
Do you know which event it was off the top of your head?
When my first fight?
Yeah.
My first fight was I don't know what numbered event it was. I don't know what numbered event it was, but I fought the 18th of October 2013. So it wasn't
2013.
That's the early 2013.
Stages.
Yeah.
I moved here in 2012.
Yep.
So it was right around that time. It must have been in the first 20 events, would you say?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
First 10,
absolutely.
20 somewhere.
I don't think it's 10. It's probably 20.
Okay, so something like that. So you were fighting in the early days.
Well
before it was the established thing that it is now.
Yes.
And it's interesting because you basically, one wants Singaporean fighters.
Yep.
Right? It's based out of Singapore.
Yep.
So there's no question that they want local fighters.
Uh-huh.
And in the early phases, they're looking everywhere for these local fighters.
Yep.
And you, correct me if I'm wrong, basically got signed to one from a video that went up on the internet of you hitting pads.
Yes and no. So how I first caught their attention was through a video on Sherdog. Shout out to anyone that knows Sherdog forums.
Everyone knows Sherdog, dude.
Yeah.
Those forums in the early stages, that was the jam.
Yeah, so I put out a video of me doing pad work and a bit of rolling on Sherdog forums. And they had someone that came down to the gym to come and talk to me, come and watch me train. And then I think maybe a month later, they sent me an email and said, "We like what we see. Are you interested?"
And there was no even warm. You did not even have an amateur fight.
I had no fights.
Had no fights.
I had no amateur fights, no pro fights before it. And they said, "Do you want to fight?" And I was like, I really do. I really, really want to fight. Can I swear on this?
Yes.
Oh, I can swear.
We're on YouTube, dude. You can fucking swear all you want.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I was...
Uncensored, baby.
I was fucking psyched, right? That I was going to get to fight. And in my head, I had it that it was going to be a lot of fun. It wasn't going to be as scary as what I thought it would be.
Right.
Now, granted, I was young and dumb. And I remember when I was backstage before my first fight, and my first fight I shared a locker room with Ben Askren, Shinya Aoki.
Was he fighting back then?
Yeah.
He wasn't signed with one though. He was still with Bellator back then though.
No. He fought that.
That was your 4th fight.
No. I'm pretty sure Ben Askren. Oh, was that maybe my second fight?
I was with you when you were with Ben Askren. That was when he fought Sapo.
No. He fought someone before that. The Eastern Asian guy. I don't remember his name for the life of me, but I definitely shared the locker room with Shinya Aoki multiple times. And maybe Ben Askren wasn't there for the first one, but I do definitely remember Shinya being there. And when you get in that locker room and you put your stuff down, you start warming up, you change, you put your cap on,
It gets real fast.
It gets real so quick. It gets real so quick. And as much as you like to think you're a tough guy and it's all going to be okay, you learn very quickly that you're not.
Especially with no fights before.
Yeah, I
so just to set this up for everybody, right? You're 19 when you had your fight, the first one, the debut.
20. I was 19 going on 20. Yes.
So you're 19 going on 20, and your pro debut. Never had a fight before in your life. You're at the Singapore Indoor Stadium. 10,000 people. You're in the back with like Shinya Aoki. Who else fought on the cards that you were on? Ben Askren was there at some point.
I think Ben was there, but there were a whole bunch of people.
I mean, you're there with some legends in the back room. You're like 20 years old. You're like, oh, this is cool. We're about to fight in front of 10,000 people.
Yep.
And you don't have that experience to sort of make you a savvy vet or anything. I mean, you're just in there.
I'm just there to do it. I'm just there to do it.
So what was going through your mind at that point? When did it start to get real for you?
It started to get real when we were behind the curtains, just before they play your music and you walk out, right? At every point before that, I was still fine. Yeah. I was like, we'll go do this.
Experience. It's an experience.
We'll go do this. But when you get behind the curtains, and you can hear, you can literally feel the crowd. And then at that point, I was like, okay, maybe this might be a bit real. And if you go back and watch my first fight, when I fought Mark Marcelinus, as I walked down that famous one championship ramp, right, that they have, and as you walk towards the cage, about halfway through, my mother is standing there.
Oh, so you can see her.
No, she comes up to me. She comes.
Oh, shit. While you're walking down.
Yep. So if you watch that, you can see it. I walk halfway toward the cage, and my mother pops up from the front row, and she's like, oh, good luck. And
then you quickly realize.
That, Jesus Christ, this is very fucking real.
I don't know about you, but when I did my pro debut, I got the fight or flight response. It was one of the first times in my life where I actually got the fight or flight response. I remember I'm warming up in the back. The guy that was fighting before me had come back already. So he was back in the room, the guy that had just fought right before me on the card. So I see him come in. He lost, I think, the guy that went out right before me. So he was pissed, and he was like swearing and emotional and beat up. And it was just this crazy thing. And I saw him come in. And then at that point, my fight or flight kicked in. I'm like pacing. I'm trying to warm up. But I literally had the thought in my head where I'm going to go to the bathroom and jump out the fucking window right now, dude.
Yep.
I was so nervous before. And
I think we all had that. Yeah.
I mean, that was the one real time where I'm like, okay, I understand the desire to flee. I was having a conversation in my head where I was like, if I can just get out the fucking window.
I'll go.
This is the thing. I've been training martial arts for years.
Yep.
I know now that I'm not afraid to fight because I've had fights, but even still, with years of training, when that situation was upon me, a trained martial artist, I had the thought of, I need to get the fuck out of here now.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
And
I'm fighting in front of like 200 people. I'm in Trinidad, right? I'm in the Caribbean fighting in front of like 200 people.
Yeah?
That's when I busted my knee. And so, I mean, the scale was totally different than the scale that you're getting at. So just to let people know, like, this is, even for trained people, this is the kind of anxiety and fear that you get. Once you make that walk, that shit gets real fast.
It gets real very quick.
So you see your mom, you're walking in. When do you, what's next?
I have the fight or flight the second they pat me down. The guy
You're standing there getting the
I'm getting the pat down. He looks for the mouth guard.
That's too late. You're already in front of everybody to get the fight or flight. You need to get it in the back when you can get out the window, dude.
He puts the Vaseline on. I walk into the cage, and then I realize that, fuck, I'm going to go fight another man. And at this point, I'm not even a man. I'm a boy.
Yeah, you're a teenager.
I'm a teenager. I'm young. I've never done this before, but fuck it. We'll see what happens.
And that's really the attitude you ultimately have to take, because I don't care how confident somebody is. When you get in the fight, you understand that there is a percentage that exists where you don't win that fight. I don't care if you're, even if you're way better than somebody.
You can still get sparked.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
You can get caught. You can get subbed quickly. You can get head kicked. Like, it doesn't matter. But that potential exists, and you know it.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You are well aware that it does exist. But
and I'll say I watched your fight because obviously I coached you later, so I needed to see what your style was and how you responded. And I know that when you came out, you were nervous. You can see it in your body language. You're winging shots. You can see the tension in your body.
I was just throwing. Yeah.
But so what's it feel like when you get in there? And then we'll talk about how the fight actually went.
I have very, very, very little memory of the fight, right? Because you just go in there and you look at the other guy and you think, okay, fuck, I have to put him away. But the second the ref says fight, the
gravity of the situation descends on you, right?
And you like to think you'll be prepared for it, and you like to think that when it does come, you'll know what to do, but you fucking don't.
Yeah, all the training.
You fucking don't.
After all the training,
you don't. You don't.
You'll still get in there and freak out and spaz out and like.
Yeah, you'll still fucking have no idea. But then, and it's funny because in that fight, to this day, I still talk to Mark, the guy I beat in my first fight. I still talk to him, and I think about a minute into the fight, I catch him with an inside low kick. And we'll debate this forever. I'm very sure it hit the upper of his inner thigh. He still feels like it hit the cup. He went down. It's all good.
But you took out his knee in a leg kick, right? He lost his balance.
To finish the fight.
But they didn't stop the fight there.
Right. No, that was before. Yeah. And so then the ref says to me, "You need to go stand across the cage."
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. So I had that whole 2 minutes
to process
after a minute in my first pro fight.
You just want to be pumped up, but
I
instead he's
I want to fight someone, and the ref's like, "No, you have to go stand there."
And you just got to be like, "Okay, I'll just turn this off for 2 minutes, I guess.
Exactly.
I'll turn off the rage and the anxiety and the fear."
And I watch him, on the ground, and he's trying to gather himself. God bless him. And then he gets back up, we touch gloves, and we go back to it, and then I do find the finish.
You cut him with a knee, right?
Yeah, so I got a sweeping leg kick, and he falls, and just as he starts to stand up, he backpedals. I throw a flying knee straight to the rib, and then he bends and kind of
Was it the body? I thought you need him in the head.
No, and I got him straight in the rib, and then he just bends over like a house of cards. I got the ground and pound, and the ref stopped the fight.
So you're 20 years old, never had a fight before in your life, and you're sitting there in front of 10,000 people at one championship, and you win by knockout in the first round.
Yeah, in 2.5 minutes, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. The scale is insane, and the actual...
Big scale, yep.
The actual, weight of the moment, especially for, a pro debut on that stage with very little... I mean, you had, a year, 6 months to a year of training up to that point?
About 18 months.
18 months, a year and a half.
From start to fight.
Yeah. Which is fast.
It's very fast.
I mean, modern times...
That's nowhere near enough.
I wouldn't recommend people fight before 5 years of training. That's your amateur fight. That's your first amateur fight. Well, and then you wean yourself into the pros nice and slow.
As you well know, I don't give a shit. Yeah. I'm happy to jump into the fire and see where I get spit out.
Well, you made that abundantly clear by doing what you did. And then so you had a couple other fights, and then you fought Casey, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
He just died a couple years ago. Unfortunately, Steven and I both had this weird experience with fighting. Steven fought the second guy, Casey, in his fight, and unfortunately he passed away a couple years ago. And he passed away about 2 months, 3 months
after Silvio.
After the guy that I fought in my most recent pro fight. And both of them were in the same place. They're both in Bali.
Both live in Bali, yep.
And
both on a motorbike.
Both on a motorbike, and they both passed away within 2 months of each other. Silvio passed away about 2 months after I fought him. Yep. Casey a couple years after you fought him, I think, but they were within 2 months of each other.
The funny thing was, so when Casey and I fought backstage, we exchanged numbers. And what I think a lot of people don't realize was that Casey fought for fun.
He had a job.
Casey had a very good job. Very, very good, high-paying job in oil and gas. Exactly. Casey was set, but Casey fought because he enjoyed fighting.
And he was damn near 40 when he was fighting too. He was in his late 30s.
when I fought him, I think he was 37.
So he's 37 and you're 21.
I was 21 at the time.
Something like that. Yeah.
old man strength is real.
Oh, it's fucking real.
It's fucking real.
I'm getting older. I can feel
Yep.
it. I can feel that old man strength when I roll.
And, you know, we still kept in touch. And then he flew to Singapore for business. And he was such a sweetheart. You know, he sent me a message, said that he'd be in town. Do I want to go out? And he and I went out on the town. We painted the sky red. We went out all night.
After you guys fought?
Yeah. I think maybe 6 months after we fought.
A lot of people don't realize that fighters are not hostile to each other.
It's not personal. No, God, no.
But they would think, because it is personal, because it's fucking embarrassing
it's
if
personal
you lose.
for 15 minutes.
Exactly. But then after that, like, the switch is gone.
I couldn't give a fuck.
Even if you win and you destroy somebody, like, the second, let me tell you guys, the second the fight is over, you are so relieved that the fight is over. Like, you cannot be hostile to that person most of the time, because like when it's all said and done, like 8, 12 weeks of training camp.
You're all in the same game, right?
Yeah,
you're all in the same game.
You're thinking about it all the time, and the mental fatigue after a fight is just so extreme that, like, I just remember, like, being in fights and having people in, like, rear naked chokes and being in ground and pound finishing situations and just being like, please, God, let this be over.
Yep.
I just want it to be over. Like, whether win or lose, like, you just want the damn thing to be finished. So there's, like, very little hostility that's directed at your opponent most of the time. Yeah. Occasionally you'll get one, but bad blood.
You'll get one once in a while. But yeah, Casey and I had no bad blood.
I didn't have an issue with anybody I fought ever.
Neither have I.
Did you? I mean, it's just business, like cold.
I've always managed to have a beer. So of the 4 guys I fought in one championship, I've had multiple beers with 3 of them. I never got to have a drink with Raymond Tan because his jaw was a bit banged up when I won by soccer kick.
Yeah, so that was the first fight I cornered.
That was the first fight you came up to KL for, yeah?
Yeah, so let's set that up a little bit, because that's a interesting.
That's a good story. That is
interesting and weird fucking story.
How much can we talk about here?
As much as you want, man. I'm willing to get into the weeds. I've already had to fucking edit some of these videos because I said some racist shit in the first video.
Okay.
Some accidental racism. So it's gonna happen.
Now I'll go fucking word to camera. I'll speak to the camera.
Oh, this is.
I
go ahead.
Right?
Dude, drop bombs. I don't give a fuck. We can edit it out later if it's terrible. Go ahead. Let it roll.
So I fought Raymond Tan October 2014 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And Ahmed, who by the time this goes out will probably be a father, right?
One of our best friends.
One of our best friends. His wife is due in 2 days.
We'll definitely get Ahmed on the podcast. Shout out Ahmed. I love you.
So by the time this goes out, he'll be a daddy. So shout out to him and his wife.
Also, he's the Malaysian amateur MMA champion.
Yes, featherweight, my champion, yep.
Lightweight. Welterweight.
No, light?
He went up.
Fought
Tibin in the finals. Anyway, digression.
It's champion. So he came up to KL with me, and Luke was supposed to come up at the end of the week. Yeah, you definitely can't post this, because this definitely means that you get fucking
it's
like
juicy.
arrested.
We need juicy details.
Okay.
It's just a little gay. It's not illegal.
Okay. So I've come down from about, at the start of the week, I'm about 71 kilos. I fight at 61 kilos, and I get down to about 63 and a half. And Ahmed's there in my hotel room, still fucking rubbing sweet sweat on, throwing me back in the bathtub.
What's sweet sweat? Just outline that for everybody.
What's the American version? Abilene. Yeah.
It's just shit that you rub on your skin. It's like a lotion. And it opens up your pores and allows you to sweat.
It sucks moisture out.
So if you're trying to cut weight, if you rub this on yourself and then you exercise, you're just going to start to pour weight. It's a really common strategy for people to cut weight before fights.
Yep. And then Luke's supposed to fly out Thursday night. He does, but we can't contact him when he lands.
We're in KL. I'm doing some questionable things. That's all I'm going to say about that.
We finally speak to him Friday morning, and I fight Friday night. And we find him Friday morning, and we're like, Luke, where you been? He's like, I've been at a mate's house.
I was there for the fight. At some point. I was there the day of the fight.
Yeah, he did come for the fight. Big fucking use that was. I already won.
I think it was useful that I was there. I think I was there for the whole fight day. That's all I was obligated to be there for, guys.
That's fair.
Go on.
That's fair. But yeah, that was the best time.
Now tell the story about the weight cut. Just get it out.
The weight cut.
You're holding back.
Yeah.
On the gayness of the weight cut.
Okay, yeah. No, well, we won't tell that weight cut. We'll tell the weight cut when I fought Alateng. So if you are UFC fans, by the time this comes out, last weekend's UFC in China, on the prelims, Alateng Haley fought someone. He won a 3-round decision. He made $50,000.
Fight of the night, right?
Fight of the night. And that is who beat me in my last fight.
Which, ironically, I think was your best fight.
It was my best fight. I felt the best there. Now, till today, if anyone says to me, like, oh, let's see one of your fights, I always show that fight, even though I lost. I felt like that was the one fight where I let my hands go. I was, ready to stuff takedowns.
You had to weather the storm a bit.
Yeah.
You had to,
I got
went
dumped.
through everything.
I got dumped constantly.
You got taken down. You were trying to work your way up. You stood up. You landed some shots. It was a fight.
Yeah.
It was the one where it was a fight. It was like the other ones, when you lost early, you got caught. Casey caught you. And when you won early. You caught people. And you finished them in the first round. So this was the fight where you had to work.
Yeah.
You had some time, some cage time.
Yeah. And I'm extremely happy for him. He's a good guy. I spoke to him after.
Yeah, he's a high-level Chinese fighter.
Yeah.
So tell the story about the weight cut, because that's what we're driving at here. First of all, I'm going to tell the story about the first weight cut, because you are walking on eggshells here. I want Steven to come out, okay? You're being fucking conservative over there.
Well,
so the story, as I was told it,
so
I wasn't there the first day. I flew up Thursday, and then I met you guys Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And as I heard it, you and Ahmed had a little bath time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll set this up. One strategy to cut weight, it's a little gay, by the way, but one strategy to cut weight is you take a bath, right? There's a couple ways you can cut weight for a fight. You can run. You run with this sweet sweat on you. You can jog it off, but it's high energy, right?
Yep.
You can sit in a sauna, but the heat is brutal. We'll get back to the sauna cut, because that was the one where you fought Alateng.
Alateng, yeah.
But when you fought, what's his name?
Raymond.
When you fought Raymond Tan, you did the bath, which is the same thing. You rub the sweet sweat all over yourself. You get in a bathtub, and then the idea is you don't really have to work. You just lay in the bath and let the bath salts and everything.
That was the idea at the time.
That was the idea. So basically, give us the image here, Stephen, of what took place.
So it's Ahmed and I in a hotel in Kuala
Already
Lumpur.
It sounds super gay.
Very gay. I don't question my sexuality, so it's fine.
Well, the listeners are going to by the end of the story.
And no, look, I love that guy more than anything in this world, right? He was solid. He was always there for me.
Yeah, super dependable, Ahmed.
Super dependable. And he was, he was rubbing the sweet sweat on my back. And
oh God, it sounds erotic already.
Yeah, and I got down from about, so I think I started the week at about 71 kilos. And then by Thursday, I was about 63. Right, so by now I'm down 8 kilos, 2 more to go, but there's nothing left to sweat.
Yeah, your body's out of moisture.
Yeah, I'm fucking dried up like a prune, right?
Yeah.
And he keeps saying to me, no, you have to go back in the bath. You have to go back in the bath. And I'm like, man, I feel like I'm going to die. And, I keep going back into the bath, and we go. And this is a good story. So we wake up, weigh in morning, I think at about 6:30 a.m. And Ahmed wants to have breakfast. So I said, okay, I'll come down to the buffet with you. We'll go down. And we walk past the gym. And in the gym, there is Marat Gafurov.
He was the former
featherweight
champion and won. Big Russian dude.
Massive.
Hairy
Chechen
as
boy.
fuck.
Massive.
Yeah, massive to the point where was I with you or Major when he was cutting weight? It was with you, I think, right? This was when he fought Alatang. I think he fought the same card. Yeah. That was when he fought Rob Lacita.
Yeah, that's when he fought Rob, yeah.
And let me tell you something about this guy. So he lost to Martin Nguyen. He got knocked out quickly. But this guy, I walked in, Steven's cutting weight, and Marat is cutting weight.
Marat, yeah.
And I walk in there about 74 kg or something. Marat is in there. He's dying cutting weight. And this dude is bigger than me when he's at 146, 47 pounds.
Yep.
He's heavier than me.
He's a big boy.
Bigger than me, even though I had 10 kg on him after the weight cut. I mean, this dude is fucking huge.
Yep.
He's got acne on his back. I'm not going to say what that's from. You can take a little guess about what a 30-year-old man with acne on his back is doing. But the point is, whatever, dude. I'm just calling it like I see it. Point is, This guy was big. He was shredded. Nice guy. Huge frame.
He's very nice.
I could not believe how big he was.
Yeah, oh, he's fucking huge, yeah.
Yeah, then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not cut out for this fighting thing. That was when I was like, I'm good.
Well, wasn't that the same time Rob Lucita was swearing at you, asking you to get the fuck out of the sauna?
Yeah, that was the same time.
So Luke, am I
You stealing my
seeing-
camera?
Yeah, I don't know. Luke got kicked out of the sauna.
By Rob Lucita.
By Rob Lucita.
Well, he got head kicked after that, so Rob, maybe karma caught up with you, baby. So I'll tell the story, all right? I walked into the sauna, and Steven's got to cut some weight, but it's like a shared sauna at the hotel. And so people are often going in and out, which is pretty annoying if you're inside the sauna because it lets the heat out.
Yeah.
And Steven had to go in. He had to cut a kilo or something like that. And I'm trying to be a good corner. I'm trying to keep him light. I'm trying to keep everything light. So Rob is in there, and he's dying in the sauna.
He was dry.
He was dry. He stopped sweating
Yeah,
already. He was so dehydrated that he stopped sweating.
He was dry.
And I'm trying to keep the vibe light because I'm walking in with Steven, and I'm trying to cut weight with Steven because I believe that you should do that thing with your corner because it sucks. Cutting weight is horrible. And if you don't have someone in there to kind of hang out with you, it's awful. Yeah. So I go in there, and I think I said something like, I'm just making a stupid joke, right? I walk in, and Rob is fucking dead, just laying in the sauna. And then I walk in, and I'm like, oh, it's fucking hot in here, guys. Am I right?
Yeah.
I say some stupid joke. Like,
he wasn't a fan of that.
He was not a fan of the joke or the energy that I brought into the weight room. And he immediately just like told me to get out. I don't remember exactly what he said. He's like, dude, you need to leave.
He told you to fuck off.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, I'm just trying to. He's like, get out. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I ended up getting out of the sauna. And then that was basically that story. But he was a little unhappy and ended up getting knocked out pretty quick in that fight. But he looked bad. He stopped sweating, lost a bunch of weight.
And big shout out to Rob. He
fought Marat on that card, right?
Yeah.
That was the same one.
That's when he lost. And he's had some legal trouble. So, Rob, wherever you are, I hope you're well.
What is his legal trouble?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll just move on.
Yeah, we move on.
Anyway, I want to get to the story also of your weight cut when you fought Alatan. Because that was the one where I was with you, and we were doing it at your condo.
Yes. Yes. Could we take a pause?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I got to pee and have a fag.
Okay, quick little break. We'll be right back.
And then I'll tell you that fucking story.
Okay, cheers. Thank you, everybody. And we're back from the pee break. Always necessary. So, Steven, you were telling the story of we're on your fourth fight now. We're on the fight where you fought Alatan.
Yep.
And you're weight cutting in Singapore. The good thing about that fight was that it was in Singapore. So you didn't have to fly out like when you fought Raymond Tan and KO. Yep. So, tell us the weight cutting story there, man, because the weight cut was brutal. This is when you're starting to get a little bigger. You're definitely not 60-something kg now.
Those days are gone.
So that was right at the point where I don't think you could have made that weight class much longer after that fight.
Yeah, so I started that weight cut, I think, 73 kilos. It's big boy, right?
That's like what I weigh now.
Yep, I was in shape, big boy, 73 kilos. And we took the fight against Alateng at 61 kilos.
That's a big cut.
That's a huge cut.
That's a big cut.
For the American listeners, that's 26, 27 pounds at 135.
Which is about as much as you can get.
Yeah.
That's getting to danger zone
Yeah.
when you're cutting that much weight.
Yeah, I was huge. And so we did the first half of the cut fairly well. We only we cut carbs, we did the water load, the water loss, and I think I got down to about 68 kilos 2 nights before the fight.
Still a good ways to go.
Yep. Still very heavy. And then the morning before the fight, we did the sauna, and we got down to about, I want to say about 64, 65.
This was the same card, by the way, that this was the card that Askren fought Sapo on.
Yes.
Because we were in the back. Little story. I told this story on the last podcast, but in case you missed it, just leading into Steven's weight cut story. we are all in the back, right? We're all sitting in the back with the weigh-ins.
Yep.
And one championship, spoiler alert, if you don't know this, I'm ruining it for everybody. They do the weight cuts before. You make weight privately.
Yes.
Then they do the public weigh-in later.
The public showdown, yes.
But for the public weigh-in, you're already on weight. You've already made weight.
Yeah, you're
at that
hydrated.
point.
You're hydrated.
So it's not you're not actually cutting.
Yeah.
And we're sitting in the back, and this is the Sapo-Ben Askren rematch.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben just got signed to the UFC recently, and everyone's starting to understand that this dude is a shit talker, right?
Yep.
His little Chael Sonnen-esque. He does a lot of shit talking.
Yeah, it does well.
And he was sitting in the back as we're all watching him weigh in. Sapo didn't make weight.
No.
And so as Sapo's coming to weigh in, Ben already knows that Sapo's overweight. So he starts shit-talking him in the back while Sapo's going to weigh in on the scale. So his head's hanging. He feels like shit. And as he's walking up to the scale,
Askren's talking shit
in front of like 30 people in the back, like he's embarrassing him. He's making everybody laugh at him while he's like, fucking dead on the scale trying to die to cut weight. He's talking to Matt Hume, the matchmaker. And he's like, Matt, what's his weight? Hey, he's fat. Is he fat? What's his weight, Matt? He's overweight. I know it. I'm not going to fight him if he's overweight. He's sitting there shit-talking him while he's fucking weighing in. I mean, he's as game as it comes. They're sitting there trying to give us a meeting about social media, and you need to do this to become popular. And all the while, he's just fucking shit-talking Sapo, who's missed weight.
No, Ben Askren couldn't give one fuck.
Yeah, he's like that all the time.
Yep.
He's such a gamer, right? He's just he's got so much.
No, Ben Askren's always been nice from the interactions I've had with him. He's always been very cool.
And ironically, for that fight, while Sapo missed weight, you also missed weight the first time that you cut for that fight.
I missed weight the first chance.
The first chance, which is okay. You didn't miss your target. Or
I
anything.
remember. So we got out the sauna, and I was sitting butt naked, legs crossed, on the scale.
Yes, I remember that.
Yep. And they come back and they say, "Oh, you're 200 grams heavy." And I remember being at this point, I was like, "Fuck, I can't do this. I'm just fucking dead." And you say, "Okay, no, it's all right. We'll go back to the sauna." So we go up to the sauna, and we must have been there half an hour.
And by the way, this was after a whole night of weight cutting.
Yep.
We were at Steven's condo the night before. We did. Do you remember how long?
Too long.
We must have did
Too long.
An hour and a half. I think we did the first couple sessions we did were 20 minutes, and then I think we started going to 10 minutes, and then you were just having trouble losing the weight.
I was just dying.
We're sitting in the sauna dying. He's literally like, "I can't move. You have to pull me out of here." And I'm like fucking under his arms, holding him on my shoulders. So there's like a 30 to 50 step walk between the sauna and your pool.
And the swimming pool, yeah.
So it was literally like, he's like, "Look, I can't go.
I can't walk."
But he's like, "I got to get out of here. I'm going to die."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "It's okay. We'll just go. We'll cool you off." And I have you draped over my shoulder, and we go, and then you just face plant into the pool.
Yep.
You just you can't even jump. You just flop into the ice cold pool.
At that point, there is nothing I can do. Nothing.
And this is the nighttime the day before.
Yep.
So you still slept the whole night without food.
I was still heavy, yeah. I was still heavy.
Dehydrated, overweight.
Overweight.
And you have to sleep that whole night, which, by the way, if it's an MMA fight, you never sleep the night before.
Yep.
So you're always fatigued from lack of sleep.
Yep.
And then the next day you go, you miss weight. It's brutal.
Yep.
200 grams. That last 200 grams is a bitch to get off.
Yeah.
And
well, even I remember when I made the weight, I couldn't stand up off the scale, right? So they have one of those. They have one of those standing scales, and I would sit on that. Well, I did sit on that, complete butt naked, and they had the towel put around me. And Mahim looked at me, and Mahim said, "Okay, you've made weight." And I was like, "Okay, great, but I can't stand up."
This was the second time. After we went back
the
and
second
cut
one,
the
yeah.
last
And then
200
I looked
grams.
at you, and I'm like, "Luke, I can't stand up. You have to come pick me up because I can't fucking stand up." And it was at that point I realized that why do this to your body?
Especially the weight cutting. The weight cutting.
There's no
worse
fucking
than the
point.
fight sometimes. It's worse than the fight.
There's no point because, I don't have the best chin, but from cutting all that weight, every single time someone touched my chin,
Yeah.
my body's just like, "Okay, Good night.
You're so depleted.
Yeah.
I mean, your brain needs fluids. You need water, plain and simple, for your brain to be fully functioning.
Yep.
And some studies have suggested that it takes 2 days, 48 hours.
It's more than 24 for sure.
To rehydrate your brain to the point where it's normal and it's high performing. And if you were cutting weight so bad that night before, you have less than 24 hours. I mean, you're just getting yourself back to base, but you're not fully there.
Oh,
and
definitely
then it's a tough fight. You're taken down. You got up. You're
getting
landing
dumped
some shots
constantly. Yeah.
And then the guy ended up hitting you with a pretty nasty soccer kick. This was back in the day when fucking soccer kicks were legal and what. So I mean, just to take that, you got punted in the fucking head.
Multiple times. I think 3 times. Yeah.
That guy was tough, man.
Yeah.
That guy, he's a
Chinese
Chinese wrestler, tough guy fighting in the UFC now. So
yeah, and I don't mind that. If anything, that means I can say to myself that, I went in with the toughest of them.
Yeah.
I might have been beaten, but fuck it. I at least got to put my sword to the fire. Realized I wasn't good enough, granted, but it was good fun. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
No, for sure. One of the things that's always interesting about you, because you were so young. You were in your early 20s when you had these fights. You've done a really good job of leveraging what you did in one into your career afterward. A lot of people, when they fight, they don't know what to do when the fighting is done. They don't have a plan. They don't have skills, or they focus so heavily on fighting that they don't have a plan once it's over.
Yep.
And for you, you're one of those people that did a great job. You got out early before you took a ton of damage.
Yep.
You had the experiences, you had the fights, you trained hard when you had the fights. You had some wins, you had some losses, but you have a fucking crazy story. And you did a great job you got like 30,000 some subscribers on Instagram.
21, yeah.
You opened up your business. You
I've got
did
a
a
gym.
great job leveraging that into a post-fighting career, which should be the goal. Because most people are not going to be world champions. Even if they are.
You're fucking not.
Look at BJ Penn. Look at BJ Penn.
Getting knocked out now.
I mean, this is the craziest story. I'm glad we talked about this a little bit, but everyone in the martial arts community knows who BJ Penn is. But if you don't, he was one of the greatest of all time. He was one of the pound for pound best ever. He was the lightweight champion. He was the welterweight champion. I mean, when he was in his early and late 20s, he was just one of the best fighters on the planet, pound for pound, hands down. And then now you see him, he's 40 now or 39. He's getting close to 40.
He's 40, I think.
He's still fighting. He's lost 7 of his last 8. Is it? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, there were stories about his wife was coming out saying that he used to do like tons of drugs and coke. And he would clean up for a fight. And that was like his way of getting his shit together and all that kind of stuff. But now he's lost so many fights in a row. He's approaching 40 if he's not 40 already. And then last week he got caught on TMZ of all places, getting knocked out by some fat drunk dude in a fucking street fight. This is one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time, getting knocked out by a fat dude at a bar.
But isn't that the problem, that too many of us try and live on stories that are way too old, right? Like, take BJ, for example. When was the last time BJ was relevant? It was a while ago, no?
6-7 years.
Exactly. Case in point, right? And we would all like to think that we'll all be heroes forever, but we fucking won't. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can move away from that, the easier your life will be.
He's one of those people that just can't seem to move on from fighting.
Because that's all he's ever known.
Yeah. And he wants to be that guy. He wants to be that guy who's still doing the damn thing, even at his own age. But, I mean, this is not... By the way, he got knocked out in this street fight last week or whatever it was, in the last few days.
Last few days.
But he was in a street fight like 2 weeks ago or a month ago at the most.
When he knocked out the guy,
He knocked out another guy. But, like, why is this guy in street fights? What the fuck is he trying to prove? He's one of the best fighters of all time, and he's fighting drunk dudes at a bar.
Well, but he's not, and I don't mean to very quick look to camera. He's not trying to prove anything. You know, he's just stuck in...
But he should know enough to de-escalate these situations.
He should.
Otherwise, it's his own ego that he's feeding into. Because if he can't have a fucking dude chirping at him at a bar and without like just getting away from the situation, it's like, what do you? And then he gets fucking knocked out by some dude who he has no business getting knocked out by.
I agree with what you say, but it's so easy for us to sit here and say that he should know better. Should he though? Like, he's at the point in his life where he just wants to do what he wants to do. And he might encounter people that will be absolute cunts. Mm. And he might have to fucking stand up and fist up.
I mean, that's cool when you're 20, dude, but when you're 40 and you have kids and shit, what are you doing, man?
Well,
I can resist that urge now.
So can I.
And I mean, Jesus Christ, like, what are you trying to prove, dude? Like, it's just the level disparity. Like, just de-escalate the situation and get away from it. Part of it is, maybe you're right. Maybe this guy was an asshole. Because if you're BJ Penn and, like, some dude just walks into you and you're like, hey, and then you're like, well, fuck you. You think, dude? And they start chirping at him and talking shit and all that. Mm-hmm. You can see how these things would escalate.
Yep.
But, I mean, it's just one of the biggest falls from grace in the history of martial arts.
It is a very big fall, yes.
And he's supposed to fight someone again. He's supposed to fight...
yeah, he's fighting again, yeah.
Is that still happening?
Yeah.
He just got knocked out, and he's supposed to fight in like a month.
Is he fighting Mickey Gall?
No. It wasn't Mickey Gall. It was not TJ Grant. It was some...
He's fighting someone.
Yeah. Someone, again, from a level that he probably shouldn't even be fighting with in MMA.
Like, goddamn, at this point, I could fight BJ Penn.
Yeah, and it would not look... It's bad.
It wouldn't look out of place.
It's bad. He's in a rough spot, and it brings me back to the point of view. What you've done is use your time fighting to leverage it into something else. So you're the owner of Slingshot, one of the owners. You do personal training. You're in Clark Key, right?
Boki.
Yeah, you're in Boki doing personal training. And you did the right thing. You realized that this training, fighting, not training. Training you can do until you're dead. Yep. But the fighting itself has a finite window. Yep. And you can either leverage that into a career or you can just keep going down the path. Be Chuck Liddell when you're 48. Getting knocked out by Tito Ortiz. You can be BJ Penn at 40 getting knocked out in a bar fight. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of these people who can't seem to get past it.
To cut it, yeah.
Roy Jones Jr., when he got knocked out by that Kovalev, was he 48?
Yeah, I think it was 48.
Or 40. Yeah. God.
He was old, yeah.
That is not the way that you want to do this stuff. The training can... You know, I had this conversation with Tibin. You know Tibin? Tibin is a Malaysian guy. He was in Pascal, the movie, which is like quite a famous movie.
Was
it
Mima runner-up?
Yeah, winner. He won Mima too, the year before he fought Ahmed.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get Ahmed on the podcast, maybe Tibin too if he's ever here and wants to do it. But I'm gonna get Ahmed on the podcast to tell this story because it's one of the craziest fucking stories ever. So Ahmed, the guy we were talking about earlier, he fought a teammate in the finals of Mima, which is like a Malaysian-only tournament.
Malaysian invasion, yeah.
It's the Malaysian only amateur MMA tournament. And it's a tournament style. You fight a bunch of times over a period of like 6 months, and then the finalists fight in a big show. And Ahmed ended up being paired up with his friend and training partner Tibin. And this was right before I moved to clinch. Yes. And I became the coach of the gym that these
for both of them,
right? But of course I know Ahmed from way back. I cornered him for a lot of fights through Mima and he used to be the owner of one of the gyms that I work for, and then he brought me to Malaysia to start teaching there. And he fought his friend in the finals of this Mima tournament, which I think is awesome, honestly.
Because that was a good fight.
I think too many people get sucked into this idea.
Get very set up that you can't fight a friend.
Especially the jiu-jitsu community. I don't like the fact that when people close out brackets, that like they'll flip a coin. Like, if you're two people from GF team and you meet in the finals, flip a coin to see who wins.
No,
fuck that.
Fuck that. Fight.
Fuck that. Like, you train with these people all the time and you're not going to compete with them in the finals of a tournament. Like, it doesn't matter. If you flip it, you're just putting the odds up to randomness. One of those people is better most of the time. And if he's not better most of the time, maybe that day is his day. And you can beat the person who's been beating you in training. I come from a wrestling background, and in wrestling, you compete for your position. There's no flipping fucking coins when you're in the finals of a tournament. I mean, Jesus Christ, what are we doing? It's a competition, but you can't compete in a tournament against the people you compete with every day in training. It's fucking stupid. Anyway, so they get to the finals of this tournament. They have to decide, like, do they fight each other? You know, because they're friends, they're training partners. And there's a lot of psychology that goes into that situation because you train with that person every day. You know if you win, you know if you lose. One of those people is dominant more often than the other.
Yep.
And you know that, both of you. And so the finals come up. Ahmed is fighting Teben. They're friends. And so Ahmed brings me down or I go down to corner him. And then he's got some other dudes from Clinch, the same gym, cornering him in the finals. Yep. And I think it's awesome that they were just like, fuck it, dude. Like, we're not enemies. We just go
fight.
in there.
Yeah, just fight.
It's a competition. It's sport. Yeah. That's all it is.
At the end of the day, all you're looking to do is fight someone else.
Yeah, it's not personal.
No one gives a shit. No, fuck that.
And so, a hilarious story that happened in this fight, right? So it's a back and forth fight. I mean,
that was a good fight. Yeah.
Ahmed was using his wrestling, and he was using some rangy strikes.
Yep.
And then, but Teben was kind of blitzing him, landed some hard elbows on him. But Ahmed's game plan was to grapple and kick and punch from a distance. And he wanted to get Teben down because he thought his jiu-jitsu was better. And Teben wanted to stay long. He's a big, powerful guy, powerful striker, dynamic karate. He's got really good spinning attacks, really good spinning back kick. He hit me with it a few times in training. Unpredictable, powerful striker, though.
Yep.
And I remember they were in the second or third round, right? And Ahmed is on top of Teben. They're in the corner. So I'm sitting in the corner with Ahmed's brother, Ehsan.
Yeah, with Ehsan. Yeah.
And we're sitting in the corner, cornering Ahmed. And, I mean, he's as close, they're fighting, and they're as close to me as you are.
Yep.
And while they're fighting, Ahmed's on top doing ground and pound, and Teben's, like, pushing him away. He's using his hands to try to push. And Ahmed, like, drops down. At the same time, Teben pushed away, and Teben, like, elbowed him in the face from the bottom. Like a hard elbow to the face. But in amateur MMA, you're not allowed to elbow to the face.
No elbows.
So I remember, like, while it happened, Teben apologizes to Ahmed in the corner. He goes, "Oh, bro, I'm sorry." And I'm just kind of talking shit. I'm like, "Hey, what was that?" And he looks up to me and he goes, "Sorry, coach." And then there's this, like, back and forth. They're talking to each other about this accidental foul that happened while they're in the middle of fighting, while they're right next to us. And I hear, like, the camera people and the producers to the side start laughing because they're having a fucking conversation with the corner in the middle of this fight. And it was one of those things where it was beautiful. Because it was detached. They're just trying to have a fight. There's a foul in the middle of the fight, and they decide they have a conversation. They say sorry. They move on, and they just continue trying to kill each other. Right? And it's one of those things that it was just a beautiful story of two people just going in there, having sport.
Doing what they got to do.
They're not losing their minds. A really great story, and I think that's how MMA should ultimately be approached. It's not personal.
Yep.
Right? It's nothing like that. And I don't know how we got. How do we get to hear from?
Fuck knows.
Point is, definitely need to get Ahmed on the podcast.
That's a decent way to wrap.
Yeah, I need to go for another pee break.
Yeah.
So, okay, one more break, and then we'll be back. Cheers. Thank you. All right, we're back again. Back with Stephen Langdown, and it's time to do some fight talk.
Yep.
Okay, so one just announced one of the biggest fight cards that they have. It's a two-parter, which is weird.
Yep.
So they're
doing a show for the US and a show for Japan.
But that's going to be back-to-back, right? They're doing it on one day.
Yep.
So it's like two full cards on one day.
Yep.
That's going to be like 8 hours of MMA.
Yep.
Which is a bit of a weird move, but I guess they're trying to touch the U.S. market, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's ultimately the idea.
That's what they're trying to do, yes.
So we'll go over a few fights here just to get some fight talk in. The main event is a rematch. Angela Lee is fighting Zhang Jingnan, a rematch from, was it 3 or 4 months ago? Yeah. That was Angela lost her first pro fight against the Panda, a really tough Chinese fighter. Demetrius Johnson is fighting Danny Kingad, and then Eddie Alvarez is fighting Dagi, which those are the three main events. Yep. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think Angela loses again.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, Jingnan trains at Bali MMA. She's good. Very, very good striking.
Trains with the Leones there.
Yeah. Suba brothers.
And the Suba brothers.
Yep.
The Suba brothers are awesome, by the way. Yep. They're guys that used to come to Clinch to train there. That was like the first gym I think they started at. So they're really, really good. Keanu had an unfortunate leg break in his last fight, man. That's brutal. I've been watching some of his. I've trained with him, and I've been watching some of his rehab and shit. It's one of those check low kicks.
It happens, right? It happens.
The terrifying injury, man. It's brutal to watch.
But yeah, I don't see how Angela can beat her again. Oh no, sorry, rather beat her this time.
I think she can potentially create some scramble. I mean, Angela's a good scrambler.
Yeah.
That's the thing that is interesting about her. The problem is her strikes don't really have stopping power.
Yeah.
In the first fight, Jingnan had a lot of her power, you could see it, right? Like when she would throw shots, it would back Angela up.
Yeah.
And those shots were hurting. Whereas like Angela's strikes are just functional. They're only trying to get you in a clinch,
do the right
get
thing.
you in a grappling situation. I mean, she can definitely pepper you, and she can land some stuff on you, but it just doesn't have the same stopping power.
Yeah.
I think that would be the difference in that fight.
Yep. Yeah, I don't see.
Because it's only been 4 months. I mean, I think Angela's young, right? She's 22, 23.
23, yeah, I think.
She's got lots of time. I just don't know if in the amount of time it's been since they
if she can make the difference.
They should have waited, I feel like, to book this rematch.
Definitely, especially after she lost to Michelle Nicolini.
And I think this is one of the problems, actually, with one's matchmaking. If I'm Chaudhry, right? I mean, all of these rematches they keep trying to book, like Christian Lee and Martin Nguyen. How many times are they going to book this fight?
Yeah.
They're talking about booking it again.
Yeah.
It's like, are they going to fight 3 times every 2 years? For how long? Mm-hmm. It's like Martin beat him the first time, then Martin beat him the second time, and then Christian gets a good win over Aoki in a pretty competitive fight, and they're talking about booking again. I just don't. Man, you got Eddie Alvarez there. You got Dagi there. Listen, Christian Lee has his work cut out for him at 155. He needs to be fighting the contenders in that weight class. He got beat clearly 2 times. I mean, they were not shutouts, but he clearly got beat twice. What are we doing with these rematches again?
No, those are very good points, and I think we assume the same for Angela.
Yeah, why book it so fast? Give her time to develop. Book it in 2 years, right? If it needs to be done, like give it time to settle. Let it boil a little bit, and then you can book the rematch. But right now, I feel like the skill sets are going to be quite similar.
Yep, and then Angela loses again.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think that's going to be the case.
And I don't want to see her lose, right? Angela's a very nice person.
She is. She's a good fighter. She's scrappy as all hell.
Yep.
Lots of good submissions,
but
very scrambly.
There is only so much you can do
in a short amount of time like that.
Yeah.
And then in the co-main, you got Eddie Alvarez. He's fighting Dagi.
Our co-main's DJ.
Oh, sorry, DJ and Kingad.
Danny Kingdad, yeah.
And I don't think that's going to be a very compelling fight.
That's not competitive. I think DJ wins that easy.
And a lot of the criticism on Kingad is going to be he didn't win the last fight.
Yep.
He fought the Australian guy. Do you remember his name?
Reese.
Yep.
Reese McLaren.
Reese McLaren. Australian black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
I agree. I don't think Kingad won that fight. They were in the Philippines. I think he got a hometown decision there.
Yep.
I thought he was pretty clearly controlled in that fight. And I'm not going to say that Reese would have been a better fight for DJ necessarily. Mm-hmm. But I think for a lot of people, it's sort of, especially the Filipino crowd, it's a bit of a soft spot because a lot of people thought that Reese won that fight, but they fought in the Philippines. And
I think Reese won that fight as well. But, now Danny's got his chance to shine.
I mean, it would be huge.
Yeah.
But I just don't think, I don't see that happening.
He's not coming out on top, no.
I think DJ's first 2 fights will be more competitive than this one. I think he gets through Kingad pretty quickly. And then third fight, we'll just hit that one up.
Alvarez.
And Dagi.
Yeah, I think Dagi wins that pretty easily.
I think Dagi finishes him.
Yeah.
I might agree with you. And we should talk about the lightweight tournament a little bit because I feel like it's a bit confusing if you're a Westerner because what happened was Eddie Alvarez lost in the first round.
Yes.
He got knocked out by Timothy Natsukin in the first round. And, I mean, he got knocked out bad. He got outclassed and just beat in that fight.
Yep.
And then a lot of people are wondering why is Eddie Alvarez still in the tournament?
Yep.
Which is a fair question. He lost.
Very valid, yes.
And this has kind of happened to one a few times, right? Giorgio Petrosian lost his fight in the tournament. He lost his fight. They just booked a rematch. They put him back in the fight again. So just to kind of talk to the audience about what's going on there.
Eddie.
No, the guy who fought. Natsukin got injured.
Yeah.
Is it? And from your sources, pretty severely.
Yeah. So he tore his ACL.
Oh yeah, that's
at
bad.
Tiger. And he can't jump back into the tournament, so that's done. So they bring Eddie back.
And the idea is that they wanted to finish the show by New Year's. To put everybody on this card.
They're trying to finish the show by that double Japanese show.
Yeah, and if you tear your ACL, most likely you're done. A year.
You're done. Yeah, you're
9
done.
months.
Yeah.
9 months, and then you can train a year before you're fighting.
And and Timothy.
So one didn't want to wait on him.
No, and Timothy is a nice guy. I'm sure he's very involved, but if you can't step up to the plate when the plate calls, then you will lose out.
Yeah.
And Eddie stepped back up.
Yeah.
They also lost my man Lowen Tainanes.
Oh yeah, what happened to him? That's right. He's out of the tournament too. What happened to Lowen?
So Lowen has a self-eating bacteria.
Oh my God.
Disease.
Is it one of the like a staph or something?
No, it's even worse than that. So he can't train for a while because he's got something that just every time he gets better, it just eats again.
Talk nice and loud, Steven. We got the Indian bar starting to kick up here. We got to talk over them.
Yeah, so I spoke to Lowen 6 weeks ago, and I think he's very upset that he can't take part in the tournament, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
Injuries will do that, and that if you're training on the mats, those any sort of bacterial infection, those things are not a joke. You got to sort that shit out. If you got staph, you got a boil in your knee or something, you got to sort that out immediately.
Yep.
And then let's talk part 2, because this card is broken up into 2 sections.
Yeah, Brandon Vera.
Oh yeah, Brandon Vera versus Langdown Song, and then Bibiano Fernandez fighting Kevin Bellingham, and then the next 2 more big fights. Rotong is fighting a guy called Walter Concalves.
Yep.
And then the last one is the big main event, Giorgio Petrosian fighting Sami Sana.
Okay.
Let's start with that one.
Let's start from the top.
Oh, start from the top. Okay, so what are your thoughts on Vera and
Langdown Song? So you see, I've known Brandon Vera for 6 years now. I still talk to his wife all the time. And yeah, he's a fucking lovely guy. His wife's very nice. But I think Langdown's a lot younger. And that age will start to show now. And
he's been fighting good guys. Say what you want about Brandon Vera. The knock on him is he has not fought a good fighter in 5 years. I mean, 4 or 5 years.
Langdown has, and even though Langdown's coming up a weight, I think he will beat Brandon Vera.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I love Brandon Vera, but I think it's time for.
I mean, the thing about Vera is he's had tough fights. He's definitely been there. He's a savvy vet, but let's be honest about his one career.
It's been easy.
It's been easy.
Oh, it's been very easy.
He's not fought consistently. He's not fought high-level guys. Angla has. He's been fighting consistently. He's fought from heavyweight to middleweight to light heavyweight. But interesting fight, because for Angla, this is also, it's still his toughest fight. I'm not shitting on Vera because he's skilled. He just has not fought.
A big boy.
He just has not fought top caliber since he's been in one. That was the one division that they tend to be a bit weaker in, is the heavyweight division. So, nonetheless, interesting fight for both guys. Angla, if he wins this fight, is he triple champ?
Middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavy.
He'll be triple champ if he wins this fight. So a big one. And then you got Bibiano and Kevin Bellingham. They fought before, right?
And that was a controversial finish. Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I am a fan of Bibiano, Kevin Bellingham has always.
His striking is insane.
Yeah.
His spinning attacks and.
Yeah, and he's always.
From Team Lakai, one of the best teams in Asia.
He's always been very open to what he does, and I would like to think that he can take it further. You
think Bellingham gets it done?
Yeah.
Finishes or?
I think he finishes BB in the second round.
I'm gonna go with Fernandez in this in the decision. I feel like Bellingham's still susceptible to the takedown, to the grappling exchanges. He's getting older. He's getting some wear and tear, but he's durable in those striking exchanges. But this is, I think, the closest fight.
Yep.
I think this is the closest one on the card. And we'll get 2 more in there before we bounce.
Yep.
Rotang, who just had a fucking crazy fight with he fought, was that?
Haggerty.
By the way, Jonathan Haggerty.
And he just fought in Lumpini again.
Oh, my, really?
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. By the way, Jonathan Haggerty is one of the best Western Muay Thai fighters.
He's a good white boy. He is
a good Falong dude.
Yep.
That guy.
He's a good white boy.
His step in downward elbow is just nasty.
And then fucking Rotang fought again in Lumpini.
And Rotang, man, he's got the hands. Like, he does not throw hands like a Thai.
Yep.
He's got fucking hard combinations.
Yep.
He came on late in that fight with Haggerty.
Yep.
And one of the best Muay Thai fights I've ever seen, which is true of a lot of Haggerty's fights. His fight with Lasiri was also just insane. But he was getting teeped a lot. He was getting pushed. Haggerty's a taller fighter, the foreigner fighter, the Western fighter.
The white boy.
So he was teeping a lot, and he's round kicking a lot. And he was keeping Rotang away in that fight. But then, like, at the time the second, third round started to come in, Rotang just decided to wade through those kicks, started throwing hard shots.
Yep.
And ended up getting the decision. I think Rotang wins this fight pretty easily.
And what's the last one?
And the last one is Petrosian and Sami Sana.
Petrosian wins easy.
I disagree. I'm going to make an argument for Sami Sana. And I'm going to set this up by saying if you're not a fan of kickboxing, and this is one of the best things that ONE is doing, is they don't give a fuck what the rule set is. They don't give a fuck what gloves you're wearing, whether you're fighting in a cage or fighting in a ring. They've just decided that all bets are off.
Yep.
They're going to fight they're going to use the rule set. They're going to use the gloves.
Petrosian wins easy.
Listen, Sami Sana he fought Yotsun in the first round.
Yeah, I know he beat him. Yeah.
And Yotsun for the listener, was arguably the best pound-for-pound Muay Thai fighter in the world. Sanchai and him are up there going into that fight. Sana beat him in that first fight. Then in the second, I think he fought Smokin' Joe Nottawa the last time, finished him.
He beat Smokin' Joe, yeah.
I mean, Sami Sana has looked like a destroyer in this tournament.
Yeah, fair enough.
Here's the thing. Outpointing Petrosian is almost impossible.
Yep.
He is a master of the point system.
And he won't finish Petrosian.
This is the thing. I like Sana in this fight, but I'm very hesitant to pick him because Petrosian is such a master at decisioning people, and he just understands how much he's landed, how much the other person has landed, when to put the foot on the gas, when to break a little bit. He's just the master at knowing the points and how to land and when to land.
Yep.
I don't know if Sana can finish him, but he has looked damn good in this tournament.
Yep.
You're going to go Petrosian. I'm going to go with Sana just to mix it up. But Petrosian did have a tough fight against Petch in that first fight.
Yes, he did.
But some shady shit going on.
And on that note, shall we call this?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, everybody. This is the Stronghold podcast. This is my buddy Stephen Langdown. You can follow us on social media, Instagram, at Stephen Langdown, at Lucas Leisure. You can follow the Stronghold podcast, and you can also come down and train with me, Stronghold MMA. If you'd like to be on the podcast, strongholdpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you had fun. Cheers.